almost did what?
You almost hit this hole when you put the beer down.
Almost dropped the beer in the hole?
You almost dropped the beer in the hole.
What's going on, beer lovers? Welcome to another episode. I'm Jeff.
I'm John, and today we're at Midnight Jack Brewing Company in Oceanside, California.
Now, we've heard a lot about this brewery, and even though they've only been open for a little over a year, there's been a huge buzz in the San Diego brew scene. I'm super stoked to check this place out. John, you ready?
I'm ready. Let's have some beer.
Let's have some beer. Alright guys, buckle up. Here's today's history lesson of Midnight Jack's Brewing Company. Now it starts way back in the Prohibition era in the 20s. There was a man named Jack. He owned an auto body shop and times were tough. So at night, he would actually smuggle beer and spirits from New Jersey to Virginia. And eventually, he developed the name Midnight Jack. That's what his friends called him, that's what people who he delivered to called him. Eventually, he also opened up his own speakeasy in the back of his auto body shop. Over time, Prohibition eventually ended, and so did his brewing career. However, that passion for brewing lives on here today with John Sherry, his grandson. We are here at Midnight Jack's. This is the story of Prohibition turned through generations into making amazing craft beer. I'm excited to try it. Let's get started. Well guys, it's time for the first beer. And we're starting with a stout. This is called Got Stout. It's a milk stout, 7%. It's beautiful and dark. Normally don't start with stouts, but screw it. It's Midnight Jack's, let's start dark. Cheers. Okay, this is actually a great way to start. It has got a ton of chocolate. I'm getting like cocoa nibs, but I'm also getting those roasty, toasty, dark chocolate malts. It's very rich, but yet the lactose in this, that milky texture, is just creating a nice, soft, pillowy mouthfeel on my palate. It almost tastes like I'm drinking spiked chocolate milk. That's all I can think, and at 7%, it's super drinkable, super delicious. I'm loving it. What a great way to start.
All right, so the beer that I have here in my hand is actually a Juice Box IPA. It's a 6.8%. You guys know how I feel about IPAs, but I'm actually gonna give this one a shot. You know, come in here, might as well open my palate a little bit more, right? So let's see what I got here. So definitely get the nice hop presence going on. I'm not sure why it's called Juice Box. I get kind of maybe like an apple juice taste with the hoppiness, so the bitterness that I'm experiencing, and it's very mild, the bitterness. It's not a strong, overpowering bitterness. It's actually the same from like beginning to end, which I really enjoy because it's not getting like really powerful on my tongue. I do get a little bit of maybe apple juice. I'm not 100% sure if they used apples or not, but it's actually quite delicious. I do enjoy it.
All right, so the next beer up isn't technically a beer. It's Jack's Hard Lemonade. It's 5%. It straight up looks like lemonade right out of a little jug. It's probably gonna be perfect for a hot summer day like this. Let's dig in. Cheers. So you definitely feel like you're drinking lemonade. It doesn't taste like alcohol at all. This tastes like your everyday typical lemonade. It's just got some alcohol in it, which is awesome. It's not very strong, like you don't get a ton of body, but with lemonade I kind of like the lighter mixture. I don't want like a ton of lemon hitting my palate and making me pucker up. This is something that's like a flavored, I know it sounds bad, but it tastes like a flavored water, like a lemonade flavored water. But to be honest with you, with a drink like this, that's kind of what I want. I want something really refreshing that's gonna really quench my thirst. I don't want a strong lemon presence that's gonna make me pucker my mouth and leave my mouth kind of dry. It's just super light, super drinkable. This would be great to just drink by the pool all day. It's a good beer.
All right, so my next beer here is Midnight Jack Brewing Company's Pale Ale. It's a 5.5 ABV. And you know, I do enjoy my pale ales, so I'm actually looking forward to giving this a try and see what it's like. Definitely smells some maltiness. Smooth. It has a bit of a salt taste to it. I'm not 100% sure about what it is. It kind of reminds me of one that Jeff tasted earlier. So it kind of has like a sea salt to it. So it's like a malty smell with a little bit of a malty sea salt taste. Not 100% sure what I'm really getting. Let me get another taste of it. And so that blend that I'm experiencing is actually kind of like a caramel sea salt taste, right? A little sweet, a little salty. I actually do enjoy it. Not what I was expecting from a pale ale. I mean, you can see the color here. It's a little amber, but it's actually quite delicious. So definitely a spin on what I would expect from a pale ale.
The next beer up is a mead. It's called Midnight in Bangkok, 10%, and the name alone gets me super excited. It sounds like a night I might regret, which matches that 10% ABV just beautifully. Lady boys, you can stay away. I'm just gonna drink the beer. Cheers. Whoa. Man. Wow. I don't know how to explain this. There's definitely like the honey, but man, the grains in this, the meat in this, whatever you want to call it, it's so potent. It's so potent. It reminds me of like those granola bars as a kid that are like soaked in honey. On top of that granola bar honey kind of flavor, there was something else sticking out and I couldn't quite put my finger on it. But now that we're trying it again, I'm figuring out that this actually has a little bit of a spice to it. Like curry spice, peppers, a little bit of basil. It's actually a really interesting combination with the honey and the like oaty granola kind of flavor. I mean, it's quite unique. It's just in your face though. It's like super, super strong, which 10%, I'm not surprised. It's leaving a great like after flavor on my palate, in my mouth. And the funny thing is it actually kind of finishes really clean, but you can really get that flavor still just resonating after several seconds of drinking it. It's boozy for sure. I mean, 10%, I'm not surprised. This is one that probably is not my style. I think it's a little bit too meaty for me, if you will. But you know, if I'm heading back to Thailand and I want a night I'm gonna regret, this may be the beer I go to.
All right, so the next beer I have here is God of Thunder. It's an Imperial IPA. It's 8.2%, okay? So it's above like that 8% ABV range. So I'm kind of expecting maybe a little booziness, but let's check it out and see what I got.
It's brewed with Zeus hops, by the way. That's probably why they call it God of Thunder.
So it's mildly boozy. It's actually quite delicious. So it's got a slight dankness on the end there. So this was actually brewed with Zeus hops, which is probably why they called it God of Thunder, right? So Zeus, Thunder. So, and it definitely packs a little bit of a punch, but it's not that strong of a punch that it's overpowering. So 8.2%, I definitely get that taste of 8.2%, but the bitterness in the hops is not overpowering in any way. So it's actually, drinkability is better than what I was expecting. And so I do enjoy it. So cheers.
Well guys, it's only a matter of time. Of course, the next one up is going to be a Saison. It's called the Savant Saison. It's 6.6%. It actually has got a really beautiful color to it. It's like a dark straw color. You know, Saisons aren't quite as harsh as some of those sours that I'm afraid of. So let's just give it a chance, dig in. Cheers. Man, this has got like a very effervescent kind of finish to it. It's almost like those sparkling soda waters that you drink. That's kind of what it's got for me. There's definitely some floral notes, a little bit of citrus, maybe more like a lemon peel. It's not a lot of pithiness either. It's just very, I don't know, it's very effervescent. I mean, this is a refreshing Saison. There's something else in there that I can't quite put my finger on. Maybe it's salt. It's got like just a little bit of a salty presence to it, which I don't know if I get that a lot in all Saisons, but overall, I mean, this is pretty drinkable.
All right, so the next one here, it's not really a beer. It's actually a hard lemonade. And to be honest, when I saw it on the menu, Jack's Hard Raspberry Lemonade, I was a little excited about it. So I actually enjoy my hard liquor and I enjoy my hard lemonades. So I am very, actually my palate is kind of salivating here, just thinking about tasting this raspberry lemonade. It's a 5%er, so I don't imagine it's going to be very strong, but let's check it out. Oh, you get that lemon and raspberry smell like immediately. So it has a slight different taste than Jack's lemonade that Jeff tasted earlier. It's still very light, very refreshing. It tastes a little more like water. Like there's a lot of water going on here. I don't taste a lot of the alcohol, which is actually nice because sometimes those hard lemonades can be just pure on alcohol and you know, you have one or two of them and you're trying to like relax and it's just too much. So this is actually nice and light. You get the lemon taste, but what's different than the other one, the hard lemonade that Jeff had, is you get a slight like raspberry bitterness taste on it, which it's very subtle, but it's actually quite delicious. I could definitely see myself hanging out during summer and drinking this by the pool, or you know, drinking it somewhere by some body of water, anywhere I could, you know, hang out at. So yeah, definitely come down and enjoy it.
Okay, so the next beer has a very interesting name. It's called Psoriasis or Psoriasis or Psoriasis. I'm not quite sure. Anyways, it's 4.9%. It's a tart cherry Berliner Weiss. It's got a really beautiful color to it. You can tell that they put a decent amount of cherries in here. You know, this falls into the sour realm again, and typically I don't like sours. However, if you saw our episode on Stealth Mode from Bottle Logic, I really enjoyed that one. So let's see how this one pans out. By the way, it's also brewed in collaboration with Oceanside Brewing Company. So this is a team effort. Let's try it out. Cheers. Okay, I'm actually surprised. I was expecting a ton of cherry flavor. It's there, and it's there from start to finish, but it's quite subtle. If you're drinking this, you really kind of have to look for it, but once you find it, you can see that it's there. Now, the actual beer itself, it's actually got a pretty smooth mouthfeel to it. However, for me, this has got a little bit of those funky notes of like a farmhouse style, the kind of things that I'm not really into. So for me, this isn't really my jam. This is not something that I would probably ever drink again. That being said, I will tell you that if you're a farmhouse, a Berliner Weiss fan, this may be something you enjoy. My only thing is I would probably say the next time they brew this, add a shitload more cherries, man. I love cherry flavor. I'd love to just drink this and just get a blast of cherries to my palate. So, you know, maybe I can come back again and they brew another batch of this and it's got more cherries. Maybe it'll pan out differently, but for now, it's not my beer.
The next beer in my glass is a Makeout Point, is what the name of it. It's actually an IPA. It's 6.2% ABV. So I'm interested in seeing what this is like. Color looks just like a normal IPA. And so I'm ready to make out with this beer. Yeah, so hoppy, bitter, not overly bitter, like it's actually very smooth. As it sits on my tongue a little bit more, I get a little bit more bitterness, but and a little dankness on the finish. So, but not so much on the initial taste. But it's actually quite delicious. So I don't taste any like fruitiness to it or anything like that, but it tastes like a basic IPA. So very hoppy, bitter, and a slight dankness to it, and a little piney as well. So kind of like a piney taste to it that I'm experiencing as well. I'd probably make out with this beer again.
Well guys, I'm down to my final beer of the day here at Midnight Jack's, and it's a session IPA. It's called Little Joe. It's 4.8%, and well, again, it's a session. So I'm finishing light today. It's actually probably a good thing after some of those beers that I had. So here we go. Cheers. Okay, this is quite an interesting session IPA. It's definitely light-bodied. I mean, you get that feeling that these are like the second runnings of the grains. The hop presence, though, is definitely there. You get nice bitterness on the tongue. In fact, it's slightly sticking around a little while. I mean, for a session, I'm not used to that. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely there. But here's a unique thing. This has got like a slight hint of like a sourness to it. It's almost like a light sour like lemon. I don't know how to describe it. It's not pucker worthy. It's very, very subtle, but it's there. And I don't think I've ever had that in a session before. I like it. It's good. I would love to try this as maybe a higher gravity beer with a little bit more grains, a little bit more body to it. But it's very unique, and I enjoy it. Cheers.
So we got a special surprise. The last beer that I have here is actually a like mystery beer. Okay, so mystery ABV. The only thing that John told me when he poured it was that it's an IPA. That's all I actually understand of this beer. So there's nothing else that I know. It's not something that they really serve to the public, so they did this just for us at Let's Have Some Beer. So I am very interested to see what I actually have in my glass. So come with me, let's check this out. It's a little boozy. I imagine it's probably a higher 8%, maybe 9%. At least that's what I'm tasting. It's got some tropical flavors, or at least tropical notes going on in the smell of it. I imagine maybe this is fresh, so it's not. It hasn't been sitting long enough to really be serving, maybe, and the tropical fruits and that they have in there isn't really coming out, so all I really get a lot of is like the alcohol content. I get a lot of the booziness going on with this beer. I am fairly interested to see if it is a fresh beer, what it's going to be like once it's actually like completed its stage of sit. So just because of the notes that I get from the smell. And also the notes that I'm getting on the initial taste. It's got this this just tropical taste going on. I can't really pinpoint a lot of it, of what I'm experiencing, just because the booziness of it is kind of overtaking once it hits that finish, and it just kills my palate right now. But I am interested to see if this is a fresh beer. After taking another sip and tasting it more, so it reminds me of a booziness, but it's not really boozy because it doesn't give me that burn that I would experience. It's actually quite light, and it goes down well, but there's something to it. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe like a kind of a turpentine taste. So it just has like this alcohol taste to it that I'm just not 100% sure where it's coming from, but it definitely doesn't burn or taste like highly boozy. So it just, whatever flavor I'm experiencing kind of takes over the rest of that nice fruity taste that I'm getting from it.
Well guys, John and I have now tried all the beer here at Midnight Jack's Brewing Company, and we're gonna tell you which one our favorites were. John, go ahead and start.
All right, so we tried all the beer here. A lot of it was actually really good. So I'm a little excited about some of the things that they are going to actually come out with later on. So this brewery's been around for about a year, but this is the first brewery I've ever actually come to where my favorite beer is actually an IPA.
What? What? Guys, John, the IPA hater, his favorite beer is an IPA.
My favorite beer of the day is an IPA.
Which IPA did you pick?
So the IPA that I chose was God of Thunder.
God of Thunder.
The Zeus hops in this thing are just absolutely amazing. The taste is amazing in my opinion. It doesn't kill my palate. It's not overly bitter. It's not too high of an APV.
It was like 8.2 or 8.3, man.
Right, but it doesn't taste like it at all. Like, yeah, I'm just as surprised as anyone else because I'm not an IPA lover, you know. But honestly, the drinkability was amazing. The mouthfeel was amazing. The bitterness didn't stick to my tongue, and I thoroughly enjoyed this IPA. Awesome. So Jeff, what was your favorite beer of the day?
So we tried quite a few beers here at Midnight Jack's, and you know, there were some that are outside of my normal enjoyment, and surprise, surprise, it wasn't really something that I would ever want to drink again. That doesn't mean that they aren't good beers. For me, I didn't enjoy them, but to somebody who's a sour fan, saison fan, whatever, it might actually be something you would enjoy. So that cherry Berliner Weiss, actually I quite enjoyed that a little bit. What I will tell you is maybe a little bit less on the funky and a little bit more on the cherry, and that would be right up my alley. But again, this place had a ton of amazing beers. All their IPAs were on point across the board. They had everything from your super light sessions to your super hoppy, uber dank, like Imperial IPAs. But at the end of the day, believe it or not, my favorite beer was my very first, and it's got stout. This chocolate milk stout is just incredible. To me, it's light. It just smells like sweet chocolate milk. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. If you are part of my generation, you remember being a kid and being obsessed with Yoo-Hoo, you know, with the little rabbit, and you get him in the bottle. And this literally reminds me of Yoo-Hoo. I smell the milk, I smell the chocolate, and then when you dig in, it's got a nice combination of those nice like cocoa nibs with a mix of dark, roasty, toasty chocolates. It's light, it's smooth, it's just all around a damn good beer. This place has got beers that think outside the box. At the same time, they're still staying true to their styles. And I will tell you, we've been to a lot of places, and a lot of places don't have a ton of variety. Here I feel like 12 beers, we tried 10 different styles, and somehow 10 of out of those 10, there were like 5 IPAs, and those IPAs were unique too. I mean, there were some that were salty, some that were like a little bit tart,
and some that I liked.
And some that John liked. I mean, it was a great variety, and you know, hearing about the history of this place, where it came from, and just knowing that passion of brewing was carried on through generations, and now it's here in Oceanside. I feel extremely blessed and super happy that I have a delicious beer in my hand from Midnight Jack's.
And you know what they say, Jeff? You never forget your first.
All right, man. It's time for us to drink some more. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, guys. So I'm here with John, the founder of Midnight Jack's Brewing Company. John, I have a couple questions to ask you.
Okay.
First off, when did you get started in brewing?
In the early 90s, I started home brewing. We actually bought one of those all-in-one, like the Mr. Beer kit.
Oh yeah.
It came out terrible, but I knew I liked the idea of being able to make my own beer, so I thumbed through the yellow pages and I found a brew supply store. I went in, spent a couple $100, and that was it. Started brewing almost every weekend since then.
Nice. That's like what, probably 20 years, almost 30
years, eh?
Yeah. Wow. So with all the brewing that you've done now, what would you say is your favorite beer style? Whether to drink or to brew, whatever's best for you.
Honestly, I'd say Russian Imperial Stout. We don't have one on tap right now because it's just been so worn out, and it's not really the most thirst-quenching beer. But now that we're going to start getting to cooler evenings,
fall, winter
our Russian Imperial Stout is a huge hit. But we do a lot of variations on our stouts. We'll do peanut butter jelly, where it has real peanut butter and fresh raspberries. We have one called Devil's Food, so it's an imperial milk chocolate stout, and they're always rotating our special batches, something like that.
Oh, that's exciting, man. So today you were brewing. Today was a brew day.
It was brew day.
You want to tell the viewers what you were working on today?
Today's our second batch of our hazy IPA. The hops that we chose for that one is Mandarin Bavaria, gives a tangerine flavor, and the Zaka gives a lot of tropical fruit like pineapple, and it's going to be fresh fruit with real pineapple and tangerine.
That sounds super exciting. And are you doing a can release on that?
That's going to be kegged and canned. It's going to be in conjunction with the Oceanside Welcome Center, and it's going to be mainly distributed in the city of Oceanside.
Awesome. So hopefully this episode comes out in time and you guys get a chance to grab those cans, or at least come in here at Midnight Jack's. I got one more question for you.
Sure.
So I'm a home brewer myself. I know a lot of our viewers brew from home. What advice would you give to a new home brewer?
Don't skimp on your cleanliness. And keep in mind, a sanitizer is not a cleaner, and a cleaner is not a sanitizer. It's not worth wrecking a 5-gallon batch that you're probably going to be very happy with. As long as you clean and sanitize your equipment properly, that's the biggest key to, I think, being a successful brewer on any scale.
Nice. I love it. Well, John, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We loved your beers, and if you guys get a chance, come out to Oceanside, visit Midnight Jack's. I love the story, by the way. I looked it up, heard about your grandpa. Like, man, this is great. So, thank you. Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Thank you.
All right, guys. So that's gonna do it here at Midnight Jack's Brewing Company. We had an amazing time. Thank you, John, for the amazing beers, and thank you to the other John for the great hospitality. If you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, I'm Jeff.
And I'm John.
And we'll see you again on Let's Have Some Beer.